Outnumbered 3-1 were the 1,000 Allied fighter pilots. Some 110 of these famous few were Canadian.
It's nice to have you today to interview, and we'll ask you first to start off with your name.
Yep, my name is Leslie Weeks, and my spelling is W-E-E-K-S, my last name. And I live in Burlington, at the east end of Burlington, on the lakeshore. And I've been coming up to the museum for at least 4 years, and I've been a member for at least 3 years. Now I have been accepted to be a tour guide up here, which I enjoy very much.
Great, and we're going to roll back the camera for many years and talk about going back into the 40s and how you entered service. And just like we talked when we were sitting outside, so if you can tell us your story.
Well, I was 18 years old when the when the war started, and I was actually 17. Sorry, I was 17 years old, and of course everybody was being apprehensive about what was going to happen, knowing how the Germans had been progressed in Europe, knowing that we were going to be on their list as well in England, and my home was in London, and in 1940, in October 1940. My home was destroyed by an aerial mine. This is a 2,000-pound type of bomb, but it is dropped on a parachute. And when it touches down, instead of forming a big crater when it explodes, it just forms a saucer-shaped crater, and it destroys by the blast that exudes from it once it explodes. It landed in the garden of my house, and it blew the house away, and most of the street as well. In my home, there was 8 of us, and I was the only one to survive. The other 7 were killed, and I had 2 sisters, 2 brothers, brother-in-law, mother and father were killed at the time, and I was lucky somehow that I survived. Although I was buried under the house for about 5 hours, they finally found me because it was in the dark, just after midnight. And I had some injuries, and I was hospitalized for a while. And but going on a bit, after that I got well again and was discharged from the hospital. 2 months later, I joined the Air Force because there was a lot of glamour about the Air Force going in, and it was being the youngest service of the 3 services, like the Army, Navy, and Air Force. A lot more attention was being paid to it, particularly because of our fighter pilots that were making such a good job in the air. And so I decided to join the Air Force rather than wait to be called up for the Army. So this is what I did. And so I joined the Air Force, and I was posted to a reception center there. And after I had done my ground training there and drill training and everything like this, which was initial training, I volunteered to become an armorer in the Air Force. Now, an armorer is a person that is taught how to take guns apart, how to put guns back together again. You're taught all the type of ammunition that we use for all the types of guns that we used, and we were taught how to install these guns in the aircraft turrets and how to work on them, how to synchronize them with the gun sights. And this course took about 3 months. And then from there on, we were posted to a squadron. And I was posted to a Spitfire squadron, which was number 91 Nigeria squadron. And we were only 26 miles from the nearest German fighter airfield across the English Channel at Calais. Our airfield was one called Hawkinge, and it was above the town of Folkestone on the east coast, on the south coast of Britain. And so we used to get a lot of visits from 4 Me-109s, which are Messerschmitt 109 fighters, German fighters, and nearly practically every day they used to visit us. And they usually used to come over about in the breakfast time and at supper time, and I think the reason for that was they used to come across the channel at sea level. Then they would hop up over the town and across the airfield, and of course they used to strafe the airfield, and they were each carrying a couple of bombs, and so they hoped to do a lot of damage on the airfield and also prevent some of the aircraft from taking off, the fighters. But one day they came over and they destroyed a lot of the hangars, and they killed quite a lot of airmen and WAAFs. WAAFs are the Women's Auxiliary Air Force in the British Air Force.
So if around the base at that time, what was the feeling with the local people? What was the war effort feeling?
The war effort was very upscale, I think, because everything, our own fighter aircraft were doing such a wonderful job that everybody was more or less upscale and about that we were going to win the war, even at that time, I think, although there was a lot of apprehension that, to differ it. But I don't know. I think it was very upscale at the time.
It's hard to get the British people down, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. That's what they always say on that. And you see, the thing is that a thing I always used to say about it is that when it came to the crunch, the English, the Irish, the Welsh, and the Scottish, we all pulled together. We all got together because it was our island, right? And so we were going to defend it. And so we did. And so I think everybody was well into the war effort. Everybody was doing the best they could and the most they could with the least they had. And I think we did a very good job, really. And we were able to hold out, and which a lot of people, I think, sometimes don't realize, that we were practically on our own from September 39 right up until December 1941, when through Pearl Harbor, which brought the Americans in. But up to that time, so you can say practically 2 years, we were going it alone in Britain. And
now you had Mr. Churchill's speeches.
Yes.
Did they rally people?
Yes, a lot. I think he was the right man at the right time, and he did a great job, and I think everybody rallied around him, and he was able to rally the people around himself as well. And he was able to bring out the best in the people, and bring out the best effort in the people as well, particularly in the factories and whatever that were producing all the armaments and material for the war effort. And so I think really that did a great way to people really being upscale all the time.